Today, I went to an estate sale and I got something out of the basement that, one, I've never found before in an estate sale, and two, is new to us at the channel. So stick along and see what we found at this packed vintage estate sale. I started filming at this sale when I found this vintage Christmas ceramic, which I actually have in the collection. This is a vintage cookie jar or little ceramic container right from the 1950s, 60s. It's really cute, and once I saw this in a bin filled with new vintage, I knew that I had to check everywhere in this house. As you can see, there was stuff hidden everywhere, including this awesome Halloween piece, Pumpkin Magic. So it was really hard to film at this sale. Most of my time was spent just digging and moving through boxes that were mainly filled with new holiday. So this bin, for example, was all new Easter holiday. And if you're new to the channel, Janine and I mainly look for vintage holiday. And estate sales are one of the best ways that we find our vintage holiday. A lot of the estate sales we go to are called digger's sale. They are mainly homes and estates that are untouched, and you are encouraged as the shopper to go through the contents of the home and to literally dig through whatever's there. And in this case, it was literally bins filled from the floor to the ceiling with holiday. But once I found that little taste of vintage Christmas, I dug through every single one. And you'll see later in the video, this is how I found some really good scores at this sale. There were things that people just hadn't been able to look through because there was so much stuff here. And it's worth noting that this was the third day and final day of the sale. So there was just so much left over, stuff people hadn't even seen because there was so much stuff you could barely move around. I finally came across a bin of Halloween and I was really excited, but once I opened it, it was newer Halloween from like the 2000s, not even the 2000s, like within the last 10 years. Janine and I primarily collect Halloween that's as old as we can get it, all the way through to the early 2000s, the stuff that we grew up with as kids. So unfortunately, there was nothing specifically in this bin that I grabbed, but it was still really fun to look through. At this point in the sale, I was in the basement, which was filled with bins, and it made it really hard to film because I was also moving bins around, and a lot of the stuff I found today, or some of the stuff I found today, I didn't even get a chance to capture on film because it was such cramped corners, and I was like back to back with like three other people, so I didn't want to be like, butting my elbow into other people. So I try to have some courtesy at the estate sales because they can be and get really hectic and chaotic. Even on the third day, there were a ton of people here, and you could just see like there is so much stuff in these bins, and each bin was a surprise. Like I had no idea what was going to be in it. A lot of it, again, was holiday, but newer holiday. But you never know. I pulled down this box because I spotted a bit of Halloween and I thought it would be worth it to take a look. I came across some candles that looked a bit older, like these were popular in the 90s, some little flags. They don't quite make it like this today, so this definitely piqued my interest that this box was filled with some things that were a bit older. And then I spotted this amazing vintage Halloween mug. This is probably from the 80s, early 90s, and it's something that of course we collect, and we don't have that one. At least I don't think we do. We'll have to cross-check it with our entire vintage Halloween mug collection, but they're just so cool and fun when you come across them, which honestly isn't too often nowadays. You find a lot at the thrift store, but finding them at estate sales is rare. There were quite a few different Happy Meal toys at this sale. This wasn't the only ones that were there, but these were some of the oldest ones that were there. I was really hoping to find some Nugget Buddies, Halloween ones of course, but there was none of that. I came across this little red character. I thought he was interesting looking. He looked like a monster, but I couldn't identify him. Do you guys know who he is? Let me know. In this box, I found some crafting and some holiday, which was the main thing that this homeowner collected. It filled the basement, it filled every corner of the house. This is actually one of the shots I got of like just how the basement looked, and behind me was this giant pile. So no exaggeration, there were bins everywhere. After crawling my way out of the basement, I made it to the garage where a lot of the older stuff was set up by the estate sale company, including this paper mache Santa. I was surprised he was still there, but then I got a closer look at him and he was really torn up and just not in good condition. So I, like probably many before me, left him behind, sadly. But yeah, there were a ton of board games and just vintage items outside. but look how much there is, guys. Like, it was just so much. It was really overwhelming. It was hard to film, but it was a really cool sale because everywhere you turned there was holiday, and that really, of course, is exactly what I'm after. This little pile of Halloween was fun, but there wasn't anything too notable. A lot of stuff came piling out, and then I had to put it all back after. But I thought that placemat was cool. Very 70s, very different. In this room, there was more crafting. And in this room, there was a whole other holiday section that I didn't even get to look through. I just spotted the ceramic angel. She was broken, so nobody had picked her up. But there was just so much stuff. I probably could have spent another like 3 hours there. I was there for an hour and a half and walked away with some pretty good finds. I almost walked out of the house until I came across a few bins that I hadn't looked through or that I actually uncovered. It was clear that nobody had looked through these yet, and I found an amazing one in this bin that I didn't capture on film, but you'll see it in the haul. And in this bin, I did capture some awesome things on the camera. So I came across these two vintage tool angels with the ceramic heads, which are super vintage and really hard to find. But look, they were just in a big bin, including this spinner ornament. So as I was digging through this, I uncovered some vintage Christmas from like the 50s and the 60s, quite literally just mixed in with newer stuff from like the 90s. So I spent a good probably like 30 minutes just digging through these few last bins that I had unearthed from the depths of the bins at this estate sale. And it took a while because there was just so much in it. I did walk away with quite a few pieces, and everything luckily fit in my bag, and I only paid $25 for everything. So this is when things got really exciting because I was hopeful that I would come across some even more awesome vintage finds like this little guy. He's older. And this definitely isn't the first sale that I've been to where 80% of the contents and the holiday is newer, but there are still some hidden gems of vintage hidden within. So I definitely encourage anyone who's interested in starting to collect vintage or wants to, go out and find more to go to an estate sale, even if it doesn't seem like there's a ton of older stuff. Things were kept over the years, kept along newer stuff. So I would definitely go out and just, if you see a estate sale or a garage sale with any holiday, just to take a look, because you never know what people have held on to over the years and maybe stuck in a bin with newer stuff. It just takes a little bit of effort to dig through it all, unearth it, and save it from the landfill, hopefully, but also for many more years of enjoyment. And it's always great to see these things still be cherished year after year. Even if Janine and I don't keep it, we love to even just pass it along. One of the last things I spotted at this estate sale was a little corner of ceramics. I could see why these were left behind. This little girl angel is in bad condition, but one thing that I love to do is to pick up the broken ceramics, the ones that are damaged, and repair them. This little angel set was left behind because the girl lost her wing, but it was right there. It got broken at the sale. So I grabbed these in hopes of cleaning them up, and I love to be able to do that. Wow. I am covered in dust. I'm like a chinchilla. I just took a dust bath. It was a digger and a half. I got some stuff though. I paid $25 for this whole bag. I dug, and because I dug and dug and dug, like places people had not been and seen before, some mice got to that, I found some really good stuff. So it's gonna be really exciting to go through this bag. I also have a bag of like jewelry, I think, in here. I don't even know. I saved some ceramics that need some help. It's gonna be really fun to look through this bag. I have the haul right behind me and we're gonna go through it. This was a really fun estate sale. What was interesting about it was that everything was mostly new, but I dug into bins that obviously nobody had been in before because I found some really good vintage scores. And I'm gonna show you guys right now. Before we dig into the Christmas, I did want to show this really cute Halloween bag. It is so adorable. It's cute, but what's in there is really interesting. I did find some jewelry at the estate sale that was hidden in the basement, and it's in this bag. We're gonna go through it at the end of the haul, so stay tuned for that. It's quite interesting what's in here. Not even including the jewelry, this is a fantastic Christmas haul. I paid $25 for everything. This is true vintage Christmas right here, and there's two things here that really excite me. The first really unbelievable find are these Holt Howard Santa tree clips. Oh my goodness, I could not believe when I spotted these two in the box. These are really collectible. I actually had them in the collection. They were a set of 4 little clips that you would actually clip onto the Christmas tree. They've lost their hole towered stickers, which would have originally been on the metal clips, but I know them to be hole towered just by being a collector myself. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, hole towered is or was a manufacturer of vintage Christmas ceramics in the mid 1950s to mid 1960s. These are pretty rare, pretty collectible if you have the whole set. Again, these are only 2 of the 4, but I will take any of them, 1, 2, or 4. So this was a fantastic find. I couldn't believe that it was just sitting at the top of a bin of New Christmas. I was also really surprised to see these in the bin. These are little angels, obviously. What's unique about them are their little porcelain heads. So obviously they're all made of tulle and pipe cleaner, but their heads are real porcelain. They will break if you're not careful. And this was definitely a very specific look to the 1950s, 1960s. These angels with the porcelain heads are a lot rarer than ones you see with cotton spun heads. And I love her little wand on the bottom. They are made in Japan, and this one you could see actually has a made in Japan sticker at the base. They're really fragile. They're a little bit ripped in places, but what a fantastic find to find at this estate sale. I found this little gnome. These are always fun to find. Harder and harder to find. It's made in Japan. They're really popular nowadays, and we have a whole collection of them, believe it or not. Since this guy is spinning, I'll show you this one next. This is called a spinner ornament, obviously because it spins. What makes it spin though when it's on the tree are the Christmas lights. The heat from the Christmas lights makes it spin, and these are really collectible. This in itself can sell for like $25. So $25 for the whole bag was fantastic, considering that a piece like this is worth $25 in itself. We also have a few of these in the collection. They're so fun on the Christmas tree. I think we have this exact same one, the blue with the little gold spinner. They're just so cool. And what a different piece, straight from the 1960s. They also made star varieties, like that are shaped like stars with the spinner on the inside. These are just so cool. I know Janine's a big fan of them.
I do really love them.
It's weird though, because there was only one. I could only find one. I dug and dug.
Someone may have found more.
Maybe there's somewhere else in the house. Who knows? I could have dug through that house for hours longer and maybe even found more and more, but it was getting really tough to move around and my bag was getting full. And I know Janine's trying to stop me on the ceramics, so I knew I could only bring home so much.
Hey, what are you talking about?
This was a great find.
How cute is she?
She is really cute. I'm gonna talk about her for a second because Janine gets a lot of time to talk about her dinosaurs, and this is something that I could talk about for a second. I hope you guys don't mind at home, but I find this interesting. I don't know what she is. I've never seen her before. When I saw her in the bin, I thought she was maybe a candle climber that sort of holds on to the candles, but she is not. She actually has a hole through her wings.
Oh, so maybe she was ornament?
I don't know. She's flat on her stomach, which makes me think she sat on something.
Oh.
And usually these came in pairs, so I didn't do any Google image searching yet. She doesn't have a sticker. I don't know if she's a left-in or a NAPCO, but probably one of the two. If you guys recognize her, leave a comment. If I find a picture of her, I'll put it up here, but I don't have her in the collection. She's a little bit of a mystery, but she's really cute. She, again, is vintage from the 1960s.
She has a really sweet face.
The eyelashes.
I am really curious. Like, she probably was part of a set, like you said. I'm curious what the other pieces looked like. And yeah, if we can find a picture, we'll add it here, and maybe we can even find the other pieces one day.
Maybe, that'd be cool. And it's definitely a rarer piece because usually you wouldn't have a hole through a ceramic like this. There's very few that I could think of that would have a hole through it to thread something through. So she's definitely a different piece. A few more ceramics I picked up. This little caroler is so cute. I don't actually think she is in the collection, but she needs some help. Obviously, all of her paint is almost gone. She's extremely dirty, like she was left outside almost, like she was put in a planter. She is a left-in. She would have originally been a bell. That's why these 2 little holes are there. Would have threaded a little clapper, right? Is that the word, Janine?
I believe so.
A clapper in there. So I think I plan on stripping all the red paint, cleaning her up, and repainting her. Look at her little basket with the star and the candy cane. These are the details that get me, guys. And then I got these 2 little guys, Janine. Look how cute they are.
I love that little mouse.
A little mouse for Janine. Thought you'd like him.
I do. I think that the paint job, I believe we found a NAPCO mouse before. I just think the paint job on these little NAPCO ceramics are really, really, really nice. I like how it's kind of like a purpley pink, like blush on the cheeks, which I don't know. It's just something that I think is unique and cute. Little details on these things, like Napco, I think personally one of my favorite with ceramics as far as like the details. I'm not super big into ceramics as much as Laura is, but I tend to lean towards the Napco.
Yeah. I picked up these two ceramics. They were left at the sale probably because her wing was broken. But lucky for me, right on the shelf was the other part of her wing.
Ah, look at that.
It's a clean cut. It's a new cut. It probably happened at the sale. So I thought, why not bring her home and repair her and pass them along to somebody who would love them.
Oh, they're sweet.
I really like the snowflake detail on their dresses. And they are cute. They're a different set. I've never really seen them before in person. I think I've seen them online. They don't ring a bell as far as the maker. They're just marked Japan, so probably just like, I don't know, a random company. But they're really cute. They have a lot of detail. I like how one has a little pink bonnet and this one has the green one. It sort of looks like me and Janine. The last piece of Christmas I wanted to show is this really different and unique ornament. I've never seen anything like her as an ornament, like a Christmas ornament. I've seen actually little rubber dolls like this, which are pretty common, but never like this angel variety. Isn't that unique? She's probably from the late 60s. She's got that late 60s, early 70s vibe. She's marked Japan. She's a soft rubber, and she's just so different. This was a really cool find.
I love her dress. It's so pretty.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
And her cute little face with the blue eyes.
Yeah, her eyes are painted very nicely.
Her hair needs a little help from the back, but from the front, she's looking great. This is like the only vintage Halloween that I found that like fit into what Janine and I collect. I was really surprised. I thought there was going to be more, considering how much older Christmas stuff there was. But I'm not complaining because it's always a win in my book when you find a new vintage Halloween mug to put into the collection when our cabinets are spilling over with vintage Halloween mugs, and we definitely have too many. But hey, that's not something to think about right now. We'll think about that when we get back. And I also found this Pumpkin Magic Pumpkins and Surface Applique in the original packaging. How cool is that? These are both probably from the early 90s, maybe late 80s. And we love it. You guys know it. It's Halloween time here at Shiny Brite Doggo.
This mug is so cool, Laura. Man, I don't know. We'll have to do an updated mug collection, Halloween mug collection, maybe in our Halloween what? Halloween decorate with us.
Yeah, we could pull out the mugs and even display with them. We have quite a few at this point. So we're gonna switch locations and show you what's in this bag. Some older pieces, some newer, all jewelry, which is quite interesting. I think that's a first for me at an estate sale, bringing home jewelry from the basement.
I'm excited to see.
So let's dump this out and see what we got. Okay guys, I've consolidated all the jewelry into this little baggie. There are a lot of watches and a lot of interesting stuff. There was a lot more than I realized when I was at the sale. It was in a little crafting bag, but I really didn't realize how many watches were in this little baggie just filled with crafting stuff. These are some older watches. I think most of what is here is actually vintage. Now these three I have here are marked. Now I haven't done a ton of investigating on what I have here. I think these are mainly like 70s watches, these three. Pretty cool. Not every day that you come across just watches in the basement of an estate sale. If you guys recognize any of these names or any models, make sure to drop it in the comments. I would super appreciate it. Getting into some of the metal watches, these three are really cool. They're in pretty good condition. This little Armatron watch does have a battery component to it. It is made in Hong Kong, so this is probably from the 70s. I thought this Citizen watch was really nice. Look at that. It's got a really nice look to it. I don't know anything about watches really. I think these are all maybe stainless steel and maybe plated. I can't tell if they're plated or not with real gold. And I really like this one. This one is a Seiko. Is that how you say it, Janine? Okay, we don't know. We're not too sure how to pronounce it. Seiko. This is really pretty, and this also says stainless steel back, made in Japan, maybe the inner workings. And let's see, I think this one would fit me. Yeah, all these watches sort of fit me, maybe a little snug. There's a few that fit me a little bit better, but pretty. I like this one. I think these are all from like the 70s. But there are a few in here that look a lot older. Let's take a look at that. Like this one is just the watch face. And I did some research into this one. It is marked Franco, which I believe is maybe a Swiss brand that no longer exists. That little mark there says stainless, I believe, or base metal. But look at the stones in there. In person, they're quite interesting looking. I can't tell if they're like real or not. So that's pretty cool. I don't know, I'd have to see how I could authenticate the metals and these stones in here. I'm going to save these two for a little later. If you want to go ahead and find out, you can feel free. But some of the other stuff is this Lillian Vernon locket on the original backer. I actually just bought a locket off of eBay, and these would have been sort of exactly what I'm looking for. Especially, I was so excited to see this in the bag. This is why I grabbed the bag from the estate sale. This is a locket. It's actually marked 12 karat gold filled. So I know a little bit about vintage and antique fine jewelry because I really do love the Art Deco stuff. So I've slowly been learning. And that GF right there is for gold filled. And this is just a really nice, I believe, 1970s locket with the original frames in there. So that was really exciting. And there was a second one in here. Oh yes, I'm gonna skip ahead and find the second one that I was also super excited to find. This one, I couldn't tell if it says gold filled or anything. I don't think it does, but I love this one. It says, "This is your life." I think this was popular in the 70s. And it's a little book locket. How sweet is that? I love this. I've seen these on eBay. They don't resell for much because they're not real, like, well, they're not like a high carat gold, but how cool. As far as what else is in here, the rest of this is costume jewelry for the most part. Some costume pearls. This is interesting. It's an old Pond's makeup blush. Wow, look at that, guys. Still in there. Look at that color. So that's interesting. There was some really cool pins in here, these hands. I believe the hands are either maybe like a Victorian style symbol. They're both missing some fake diamonds in there, but how cool are those? They are pin backs. This necklace is pretty, just a really simple necklace. I couldn't find any markings on it, so I don't know if there's anything of value here, but it's pretty. And then these two earrings were in there. Unfortunately, the one is missing its post, but they're sort of this like open filigree design. And there was one right here. This to me looks almost real. Look at the color on that. There is a marking in here. It's really hard to see. I don't know if I'll be able to get it, but oh, you guys see that? It says I forgot what it says. Crayola with an A at the end, not an O. And I did some research, and some Reddit post led me to believe that this could be from Asia and it could be real gold. So there's no other earring. Otherwise, I would have kept this. So I might get it tested and see if it's actually gold. It looks very yellow. What do you guys think? That was cool. What else? We have some other pins, and I thought this was maybe a little baby earring. Look how tiny. There's only one though, so I'm not too sure. That was sweet. There's a little pin here, a T, some clogs. You know, the rest is costume stuff, which is still fun. But let's move into the two coolest finds out of all this jewelry. This watch right here, I believe, is a true Deco Belova women's watch. It is marked 14 karat gold filled. It has a patent number on it, and I was able to find it on the internet. I think it was called a Miss America model. That's what they called it. Look at the detail on it. It's not working. I don't know if I could get it to work, but this is just so deco, right guys? This is from the 1930s, and it's just such a cool piece. If it's real, which I think it is. It looks real to me. I mean, I don't know a ton, but how amazing. I'm gonna try it on and put it on for you guys. I just cannot believe they made things like this and even more intricate back in the day. Like, it has not only this little clasp, but you can tighten it. And look at that. There it is on. The amount of detail in this piece, and I have it on upside down, is so cool. I think it's truly vintage and from the 1930s, which almost makes it antique. What a cool find. I think resale value maybe $100, give or take. I'd have to probably take it in to look at. It's not working currently, but it's in pretty good condition considering how old it is. What a cool find. And this is the last piece in the lot. This is another, I believe it's a deco watch, but look how tiny it is. This is not gonna fit me. The back is marked, or this little chain right here is marked 12 karat gold filled. It does say BNCO, maybe as a maker. I don't recognize it. Has a little blue jewel on the side and just a ton of detail. The face is a little discolored in parts, but look at that. How cool. So I don't know, and I wasn't able to find any information on this particular model or watch or anything. I Google Lensed it, so if you guys recognize it or watches similar, let me know. Here it did say BNCO, I believe, but I couldn't find any information on this one in particular. But these two deco watches are definitely a crazy find. Something I've never found before in an estate sale, just buried in the basement. Didn't go through my entire bag, just, fill a bag last day. These were left at the basement, and I'm so glad I found them because they're definitely going to be cleaning out that estate. And so these were essentially saved. Before we sign off, guys, I want to tell you that we are having our first, actually, vintage Halloween sale next week over on Whatnot. But the info and link to that sale is in the description below, so go check it out, bookmark it. It's going to be a blast, and we don't want you to miss it. But we hope you guys enjoyed this episode and this trip to this amazing estate sale. I had a fun time. Janine might be a little jealous she didn't come, but I had fun. Thank you guys so much for joining us.
See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.